Hello everyone, Slanger Toast here, and before we start with the video, I want to go ahead and make a few quick disclaimers. One, I don't hate the MCU. I feel like this is like simple. This is like really simple and basic, and something that they, out of all people, should have understood and realized. And two, if somehow your dumbass has gotten this far and hasn't figured it out yet, there's going to be spoilers. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the video. In entertainment in general, there's this overarching theme throughout that the good guys always win, which stays quite consistent in everything from plays to TV shows to even video games. And the MCU certainly isn't an exception. Out of the 20 movies the MCU has in its collection, only 2 of those do the good guys actually lose. 1 being Civil War, and 2 being Infinity War. But I think in both cases, neither could really hold an impact. We'll start with Civil War and why it couldn't hold an impact. And that's simply because there are 5 movies in between Civil War and Infinity War. But yet, out of those 5 movies, I didn't even find a reference to Civil War being a thing, and it's not made to matter anymore, understandably, because of Thanos trying to kill half the galaxy. So despite it spanning over 6 movies, it felt like as if it only happened in Civil War itself. Now let's get into why Infinity War couldn't hold an impact. It's simply because, you know how earlier I said that Civil War felt like it had no space? Well, the MCU couldn't even wait a single movie for Endgame, so they had to force the space into Endgame. And, well, it didn't work at all. Now keep in mind this would have worked just fine if it took place in a normal movie or a normal universe, where usually they would make 3 movies max, but this isn't the case. This is the MCU that bolsters a whole universe that has references to each other so many times that you can't even count them all, and builds off each other constantly and consistently as the movies progress, and has an overarching story for over 20 movies. That's why it was not the play. Like, imagine we put in a few movies in between Infinity War and Endgame and show that mistakes have real consequences, and that even superheroes aren't immune to failure. For example, imagine seeing Captain America being in a battle with himself to stay positive so he can be an inspiration to everyone else who stayed alive. Or Iron Man struggling with alcohol, which is canon to the comic books, since he feels responsible for Peter's death, and while still trying to save face for his daughter. What about seeing a John Wick version of Hawkeye, or seeing Rocket dealing with losing Groot a second time? Like, there's a lot of wasted potential in these 5 years, and it's just glossed over, like, oh, 5 years happened, that's it. And then, all of a sudden, with that space, Endgame is so much better. It holds a lot more meaning and weight. For example, when Iron Man says he can't take a chance on losing his daughter, since you have more of a time with him and seeing him struggle with alcohol previously in that movie, and him getting over that just for his daughter, then it builds on that, and it makes that choice feel a lot more impactful and a lot more like he's a real dad. To wrap it up, you can't base a franchise off of having a universe that feels like it's real partly or mainly because of the fact that major events in these movies are spaced out with many solo, if you will, movies, and then have your biggest event in that franchise and say that there is 5 years after the biggest loss in the universe. But this is what you decide to cut? Like, are you trolling or something? Also, one last thought. I forgot to mention that when you support the stereotype that heroes always win, it makes the movies very predictable and sucks out all the suspense out of it that it might have had if they would have lost from time to time. Anyway, that's all from me. See you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.